Liz Johnson and Shayna Ung, as well as Sherry Tan and Maria Jose Rodriguez. First of all, in regards to the pattern, as Liz will start. Aaron, you bowled a few games on it. We'll get into um, what happened in regards to that. But congrats, first of all, to Kelly Kulick and Verity Crawley.
Yes.
Bowling phenomenal. Verity, first tour event this season, and she makes the show. And Kelly Kulick is Kelly Kulick, so congrats to them. But different pattern that we saw this week. Of course, much different than the first 2 weeks. You missed an event. Did you miss an event?
I did. I missed the last event.
Sacramento event. So you had basically the first event, Sonoma County Open pattern, and then this one, which was obviously different. But what were your takeaways that you saw?
This pattern was definitely different than the past 2 weeks. It was 38 feet, 22 mils, but it wasn't as flat as what they've seen over the past 2 weeks, I think. I mean, just watching Kelly bowl to the right of me actually all day yesterday, it seemed like she used a bit of a stronger ball to start, but she was definitely, it's more of her A game. She was able to kind of come around a little bit more, get a little bit farther right off of her hand, and she had really good ball motion overall, and she was able to keep it in play. It's kind of interesting though, because you couldn't get too far left, and if you tried to send it further right, it obviously was just going to fall off. Whereas if you missed left off your hand, it was almost going to hook instantly. So it was really about kind of finding that right balance and playing the hook to your advantage.
Flat 10 there as both players started with a strike between Shayna Ung and Liz Johnson. Over to Maria Jose Rodriguez. During the event here, I will try to add in our split screen. Something was slightly off in the way we had some things set up this week in our positions. And so I'll work through that, of course, a little bit. But 41 and 42, Maria Jose. Now, Maria has already made one TV show, of course, on what is to this date the most demanding condition that we've seen on tour. Being very consistent. Anything that you have seen from Maria that you say, wow, this is kind of one of those things where she is, why she's excelling and being consistent kind of week to week?
I mean, Maria's had obviously a really good start to the season. I think a lot of that has to do with just shot making, and I've actually bowled next to her the very first week. She just kept it in play all weekend long, and she didn't really miss very many spares either. I think that was critically important, especially the first week being one of the lowest cut scores that we've ever seen thus far over the past 3 years. And same thing this week. I didn't get to see her bowl as much, but it just looks like she's throwing it very well overall.
Sherry Tan, of course, a member of Team Singapore. Team Singapore representing the group Stepladder here with Sherry Tan, of course, Shayna Ung, Daphne Tan will bowl the winner of the Sherry Tan Maria Jose Rodriguez match here. Of course, y'all know about Team Singapore now. A lot of people didn't know about them until last season, and still making their presence felt here in such minimal events. Of course, they're only bowling to the Queens next week, but in your experience, with watching them play, and then of course bowling with them and against them, what makes them so tough in your opinion?
I mean, part of it is back home that is their sole career. They bowl, I think, pretty much every day a week. They practice together. I'm not sure if they all live near each other, but I just know that they do things together as a whole group. They do things a little bit differently over there. I mean, they're training 2 to 4 hours a day, if not more, every single day of the week. It's what they do. They live, eat, breathe bowling.
It's a great opportunity, and really cool to certainly have them out when they're available. I mean, it raises the level for everyone.
Oh,
from
absolutely.
A competition perspective. Sherry Tan, 6-pin. Shayna Ung off camera with a 10-pin. The time a wrap 10. Joined by Aaron McCarthy in the booth this evening. Neil Williams Jr., big thanks to all of our staff, of course, to Neil Milligan, Kathy Watka, Kathy Kavicki, Matt Canizaro on hand this week, and also the, of course, Bowling Center staff, who has been great throughout as well. Makes the spare. Now I know Aaron, I saw the, we had just briefly talked about it, but I had no idea. So hey, where's Aaron? I had asked someone yesterday, and unfortunately you had to withdraw, but we hope everything is okay. Especially
so
with
too.
the queens on the
Yes.
on the horizon.
Yeah, yesterday I was having some back issues in the morning, but not enough to bother me, and then at the second block it just started spasming. I'm not really sure what caused it. Maybe those long plane rides that I had last week coming back from overseas and just not bowling for, I think it was maybe 9 or 10 days I hadn't touched a ball. Hopefully it's nothing too serious.
In trouble there for Maria Jose Rodriguez. Take a quick look over at Shayna Ong. Speaking of overseas, you were overseas, as you mentioned, for a very special occasion.
I was.
Last time we actually talked to Josie, it was no longer Ernest.
It is now Barnes.
Josie Barnes, we did allude to that she was going to be getting married that next week, which of course was last week. And Aaron, you had a chance to be a part of that. What was that experience like? Of course, for seeing a great friend, two great friends of yours get married, and then of course in the setting.
It was a very special week for sure. I've gone out of the country once, but it was bowling related, so it was just travel with no bowling equipment for a special once in a lifetime event. It was really amazing.
Our congratulations certainly to Josie and Kyle. I'll have to get used to the name change. I'm sure as everyone else will as well. Orange is not a bad name.
It's a good name.
Now she might get mistaken for like someone related to Linda or Chris or something like that.
It seems to be a pretty good bowling name.
That is. All right, 4-pin for Liz Johnson. Let's take a peek over at Sherry Tan. Sherry, the lone left-hander to make the top 32, and now finds herself a couple games away from another TV show. Of course, she won the Sacramento Open last week. Or excuse me, last season. Sherry Tan, 59 in the third, strike in the fourth. Rodriguez with the back-to-back opens in the second and third. Shayna Ung will go first. She has a carry issue at the moment, 10 pins. Working against Liz Johnson. Oh, she gets him to fall down. Take it. Oh, Tan will enter your screen here momentarily. That one a little high. What have you seen so far from both matches from a lane play perspective? Again, this is on the fresh 38 feet pattern. We talked about it a little bit, certainly different. But from a strategy perspective, if you were bowling, what would you be looking for?
It's kind of interesting right now because it's almost like there's 4 completely different styles. I mean, obviously Sherry being the lefty, but Shayna tends to open up the lane a little bit more in comparison to Liz, obviously. Liz is a little bit harder and straighter, and I think Liz is a little bit better at playing in the middle of the lane with the hook, not so much getting it too far right. Seems like Maria's just kind of struggling with ball reaction a bit. I almost think that's the same ball that she won her matches in the first stop. I could be wrong, but I think she was talking to me about a 2-inch pin that she had something more controllable, especially when she's dealing with the friction.
That brings up a great point. You know, you have to know your equipment at this level, what you're looking at, what you're getting into, what you need. What keys or what factors, obviously it's going to, whatever the condition may allow or may cause you to do. But, do you have a couple benchmark balls still, even on an array of patterns that you may see on tour.
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely. I think a lot of that comes just from experience, and the more tournaments that you bowl in, you realize what you need or what you may not need. For me, and I think a lot of the players out here, we don't do too much with layouts necessarily. You use similar layouts in all of your bowling balls, and you just find what works and what doesn't work, and then you can tweak it, obviously, with Aberlon pads or polish or whatever it may be from pattern to pattern. Very few times you'll see where you need a specific layout to go on a specific bowling ball for that particular pattern, but a lot of us have our bowling balls that we're comfortable with and what we start with, and then just adjust from there.
Talking with Aaron McCarthy, joining us here for our group Stepladder finals, the Fountain Valley Open. All right, you might have something here. First look. All right, split screen, Liz Johnson. She has a three-bagger. Sherry Tan taking a moment there. Maria not completely out of that match. Sherry is clean through 6 with the 2-4 staring at her. I want to thank all of our sponsors of the PWBA Tour, Smithfield, Nationwide, Pepsi, Cubica AMF, and GoBowling.com, as well as all of our apparel, ball, product registered companies. Kegel, the official lane maintenance provider. As well as all of our accessory companies who are product registered. So it takes a lot for the tour, and we certainly appreciate everyone's contribution to give players like Aaron that opportunity to be successful and win some titles. Obviously, that's the ultimate goal. But Aaron, for you, what is obviously everyone's goal is to win at some point, but for you specifically, when you think PWBA Tour, what do you want to see from yourself over the course of your career?
Personally, I just would like to be more consistent. Right now, I should say injury-free, since I can't seem to do that very well over the past 2 years. But I think consistency, not necessarily, making cuts and being at the bottom of the cuts, but actually bowling well throughout every single event versus having one great event and then one just terrible event. I think that's what a lot of players look for. I mean, besides the obvious winning, but just being consistent while you're out here.
want to say hello to Stephanie Johnson, PWBA Tour Course champion, former Rookie of the Year. Watching Extra Frame. Steph will join us at some point. Of course, recently gave birth to her and husband Chris's second child, Kinsey Rose.
She actually posted a pretty comical video yesterday after a good practice session.
Check it out then. Sounds like a good tease. Spare for Ung, and we've got ourselves a 5-pin match between Johnson and Ung as we head to the 10th frame. So not more you can ask for here. And in the group Stepladder, of course, is what we always expect, and it generally never disappoints. Sherry Tan, after the back-to-back opens again for Maria, he's a 6-pin. Shayna Ung slaps the 10-pin out. So Shayna can max for 217. Which means that would force Liz Johnson to double in the 10th frame. So important strike here for Shayna, spare for Sherry Tan. And a washout. So not the shot we expected there from Shayna. Did you see anything that stood out there?
Kind of a bad angle, but it almost looks like she didn't get around it quite as much as the one previous.
She will take 2. .205 for Shayna Ung. Sherry Tan stepping up in the 9th, so again, Liz Johnson. Still in the driver's seat. Mark will do it. Even if she got tough count here on the first ball, she's able to make the spare. The ooh sounded like almost a 7-10. Pretty simple here. Make the spare. And get 5. Liz Johnson will move on. While Sherry Tan, 4-7. Folks, if you have any questions for Erin while she is in the booth, please feel free to drop those, of course, in our Live Now post on Facebook. Spare for Liz Johnson. For Maria, best she can do is shoot 161. This one mathematically over. Sherry Tan will move on to face her sister Daphne Tan. One spot in the TV finals. Liz Johnson 211 to 205. Speaking of Liz Johnson, didn't win a match through 4 games today, but turned it on. Of course, is Liz Johnson. I mean, it's almost like you can just pinpoint it. You pick up the phone, and if you need help, you need assistance, you say, "Hey, Liz, I'm down and out. Can you throw a 7-bagger?"
Absolutely.
Just do unbelievable how good that she is, and of course, at what she does.
One of the absolute best.
Well, she shot 266, which was really the game in when she made a run. That moved her up to 5th, and then won her last match to really not edge Shayna Ung, of course, because they bowled each other, but Shayna Ung then defeated Shannon O'Keefe, who was 3rd at that time. And of course, I believe it was about 14 pins the difference, and Shannon just missing the group Stepladder final. It's a very interesting day, as we have come to know with our group Stepladder finals. Again, Liz Johnson 211 to 205. She wins over Shayna Ung. So Liz and Clara Guerrero. It's a pretty cool match for a group Stepladder. Maria has given us the thumbs up. And that's what I mean in regards to her personality. Did not bowl well, of course, obviously, but still able to kind of take it all in stride and still have a little fun, which is not easy to do.
No, it's definitely not.
Sherry Tan wrapping things up. For Sherry, of course, she's going to the bag. Looks like she will try out some urethane, as you mentioned earlier. I mean, we can't say whatever her strategy has been, it certainly worked. It's got her all the way to this point.
Yeah. She didn't really have any, not even bad games yesterday. It was all pretty consistent.
All right, one more fill. So there will be a tan on the TV finals.
Yes.
It's going to be either Daphne or Sherry, which means that, again, Singapore will be represented again on television, PWBA Tour. Daphne, at the moment, of course, there are several players who have bowled for Singapore. Bernice Slim, of course, the defending Queen's champion. Sherry has won, Jazz Real has won.
We're starting with if it's urethane or reactive. Looks like urethane.
Yeah.
It could be 2 interesting matches, that's for sure.
So made the change, did Sherry. Here's Liz Johnson's first offering. Pretty kind of classic Liz, where she's playing the lanes, chopping the 10 out to start things. And Clara was literally the best bowler all weekend. I mean, she had led round 1, round 2, led most of the day today. So for her, I mean, I'd imagine if that's you, to think positively. Of course, don't worry about the bad luck and some of the things that happen in match play.
I would assume that she'll probably keep that same strategy, and hopefully it works out during this 1-game match.
Well, she spent some time, had a great experience, of course, on television as well. I mean, what is there anything that you take or still recall and use as you move forward in your career in situations like this?
I mean, like I said kind of earlier, these 1-game matches, they go by so incredibly fast. It's almost like you have to force yourself to stay in the moment, because if you think about the one bad shot, then it's just a trickle-down effect, and your entire game could go just based on one negative thought, I should say. That's especially true once you make it on television too. It's the fastest 10 frames of your life.
Joined in the booth by Aaron McCarthy, Team USA member. Clara, good shot there, and leaves a 10-pin. So 2 good shots for Clara to open up this match. Again, the winners of these matches will move on to join Kelly Kulick and Verity Crawley in the TV finals of the Fountain Valley Open. Spare there for Daphne Tan. Talked to Jazz Real earlier today. She joined us in the position round. We talked about, of course, Daphne and Sherry. Mentioned Daphne has worked a lot as far as playing left and moving in a little bit, and she's gotten better and better at it, and did it a lot this week, and the results certainly have shown.
I would say so.
Strike spare for Clara to open. Daphne Tan's second offering. Looked a little right, perhaps early. And a 2-8. Good shot there for Liz Johnson, and an early double. Liz trying to make it back-to-back TV shows. Last week claimed the top overall seed in Sacramento. And now trying to earn another spot through the group stepladder this week. When you began your bowling career, was Liz Johnson someone that you looked up to or thought, of course, I'd like to be in positions that Liz Johnson was in at some point?
Oh, absolutely. I think she's a name in bowling, whether you're male or female, that everyone looks at and says, you know, I'd love to be in that position. I'd love to look up to her.
Well, she often throws shots like that.
Yeah.
And, man, because sometimes you just run out of words for certain people. And
she's one of those people.
It's difficult to kind of describe Liz in ways that we haven't already done it, written about, etc. We don't want to get into veterans and different things like that. Of course, we all know she obviously was part of the first generation, if you will, the PWBA tour, and has won several times. But to still be at the top of the game,
I think that just goes to show how good she really is.
A shot there from Clara. Liz mentioned last week she had to use her C and D game. And we're, of course, accustomed to seeing if you give Liz anything right, it's almost toast for you. It's curtains. It's one of my favorite cartoons used to say. But she played the middle of the lane last week. Still kept the angles in front, but like she said, C and D games. It's a lot of different shots she can play. She knows she can do it, and it's still surprising for people to see sometimes that when she does play left, you're like, wow, Liz is playing left. It's like a shock. I think people used to say that a little bit about Clara, and she's been left the whole time, like all weekend. Although she looks a little bit further right during this match.
I think that's one thing that's been different about this season thus far. We're seeing a lot of us having to play farther left, not necessarily covering more boards, but just having to be further left with your feet. It's not a bad thing. It's just different, something that all of us are going to have to obviously adjust to, as Liz Johnson has done.
For you, is it? I mean, I imagine it's a challenge well accepted, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind playing left, but one thing that I've kind of noticed about this season thus far, even though I've only bowled 2 stops, it's not like you can just send it right. You actually have to make quality shots and get within just a couple of boards or where you're actually looking. So it's different. It's kind of refreshing in a way. It just forces you to do different things with your hand position and your ball surfaces and that type of stuff.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You don't know what to expect week in and week out now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, okay, we always got to be on top of it.
Really have to keep your mental game in check too, because you can't get frustrated with leaving yourself makeable spares when you think that they should be strikes. It's almost like a blessing when you leave yourself a makeable spare these past couple of weeks.
After watching week 1, no doubt about that for sure. Daphne Tan looking for her first strike of the match, and she leaves a 10-pin. 2-pin match on 41 and 42. 20-pin match on 45 and 46. And a week 10 there for Liz. It ends the run at 4. Clara will have a chance to continue on. Daphne Tan takes care of business on the spare. as does Liz Johnson. So the Tan sisters working within 2 pins of one another. Of course, Wei and Sherry met in the title match of the Smithfield Tour Championship last season, with Sherry the runner-up. So obviously, like I said, of course, sisters. They train together, bowl together, travel together. It's got to be in some instance a tough match for both of them, as you see Clara strike. I always wonder what that would be like when you have a sibling and you compete against that at a high level and when a lot on the line and different things like that. It's got to be a different mindset, if you will.
I think it would be certainly interesting, maybe good and bad days, I guess you could say that.
And the chop on the 3-6-10. So Clara here strikes in the 5th. Take a 1-pin lead. Definitely playing a little further right than I think she had been playing throughout. I didn't really get a chance to see her during match play. She didn't come across a lot, but obviously throwing it well, looking very confident, and wherever she's playing on the lane, the conversation between her and Rob, for example, so far so good on the results.
Yeah, throwing it very well too.
From here, any particular motion that you see from whatever she's throwing? Is there something that kind of stands out?
I mean, I'm pretty sure she's throwing a Maverick Pearl, which is typically a shinier bowling ball, but she's added some surface on it to kind of slow it down and make it more controllable.
All right, Liz back on it here in the 6th. This one is probably going to come down to the 10th frame. Meanwhile, on 41 and 42, Sherry Tan has now doubled up. I appreciate all of our viewers throughout the weekend. Always fun to get to know where our viewers are watching and listening from. And another 10-pin on the left lane. Clara now with the advantage. Here's Sherry Tan looking for 3 in a row. Good shot, 9-pin. Liz takes care of business. So in essence, 7 quality shots for Liz. A couple 10-pins. I would say the same, 6 quality shots as well for Clara Guerrero. Neither in a match, with those type of competitors, neither giving an inch, if you will, in this one.
This might come down to just lack of carry, or they have carry, one of the two.
Good spare there for Sherry Tan. Good shot, just as you say, carry. She brings a 10. So a spare here, we will be tied, which is what the fans want to see. Packed house here. It's been packed all weekend. Fans have been great here in Fountain Valley and Southern California. Get a chance to check out some coolness.
Oh, the airport? That's about it.
All right, near trouble there. Clara. We are tied with 3 frames left. All right, a spare for Daphne Tan. That match still or just getting to the 6th frame. They're just off the left side of your screen. It's got to hurry. And no love tap on the 8-pin. Clara's going to finish the match. Daphne Tan, she gets some help. Well, first strike of the match for Daphne Tan. Sometimes it just takes seeing all 10 pins go down to get you going. All right, Liz with a 1 pin advantage. I said Clara would finish it. She would finish first, excuse me. So depending on these next 2 frames, Clara may or may not have a chance to potentially shut out or win the match. Sherry Tan, pretty good shot there. You know, Sherry looks like, you know, she just kind of committed to the strategy. You know, it's worked all weekend, not afraid to make the changes when necessary. And of course, you can't be afraid at this level to make moves when you have to.
She even made some changes just right in the middle of games too that obviously paid off. I mean, she's in this position, so.
Liz will take a re-rack. She buried the rack in frame 8. Sherry Tan will go first. And this time
9 pin. Or 8 pin.
an 8-pin. Well, Daphne is still with a fighting chance here. This is a win for Singapore, of course, in the grand scheme of things, but to be determined which representative will be on TV. Still determined here on 45 and 46 as well. Liz is taking her re-rack. 9th frame. Good shot. Still watching greatness. So Clara now, it's up to her to put a little pressure on Liz. Spare made for Sherry Tan. Clara can shoot 248. That's her max score. Liz can max, of course, at 259. She could be in the 240s. Could even be in the 230s. But Clara will have to put that pressure on her, and nearly a 7-10. 10 falls late. Aaron McCarthy mentioned what might be the difference in this match. Carry. And it has shown up here in frame 7, 8, and 9 for Clara.
Unfortunately.
so late in a match like this. We talked about being confident in making moves. I mean, do you make a move going to the 10th frame?
I mean, it might be a little difficult just because you have control of the pocket, so you don't want to do something too drastic and then regret it with a big 4 or a 210 or something like that.
Daphne Tan, meanwhile, doubled. She struck on lane 42. Put herself right back in this match with a strike. Oh, 4-9 in the 8th. Here's Clara. 10th frame. I believe 3 consecutive, 2 10 pins and a 7 pin. First shot, 10th frame, needs it. And a 10 pin there. At best, now 226 the total for Clara. Not mistaken, Liz will need a mark. And the 10th, that sounds right? Actually, no, could have the possibility of a tie. If she went 9 out. If she goes 9 out, that would be 226. If Clara strikes here, of course.
Feeling she's not going to go 9 out though.
Probably not. But nonetheless, which would mean a mark would do it. Good shot there from Clara. You never know, 226. She rolled great all weekend. And now we'll have to watch while Sherry Tan a 2-7 to deal with. And certainly not the easiest of spares as well. All right,
Great
covers
spare
up.
conversion.
Okay, Liz Johnson. Mark, and she will make her 2nd consecutive TV finals. And there you have it. Congratulations to Liz Johnson, battling all day. It looked bleak for a minute. Like she couldn't get anything going the first 4 games of match play. Shoots 266 game 5. I think she shot 220 plus. Game 6 won the match. And that helped her get into the group stepladder final. Bowled a heck of a game here. Clara Guerrero bowled as well as you can bowl for a weekend, and will unfortunately come up just a little bit short this week. '41 and 42 still to be determined. Almost disaster there for Sherry Tan. All right, that's it. Congrats to Liz. 258, 226, your final score. All right, we'll go to full on 41 and 42. Sherry and Daphne still doing battle here. Best Daphne can shoot is 199. She will finish the match first. At the very least, make Sherry think about it if she can bring one in the 9th and at least 2 in the 10th. Great shot there. That's one. As we wind down here, Aaron, what are you looking forward to in regards to just the rest of the season? I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier, staying healthy, of course. And
yeah, that would be the top priority. I'm just looking for more consistency. I know I said that last season, at the end of last season, I should say. So hopefully the Midwest stops, so starting with the Queens, and then the Midwest stops go a little bit better overall than they have the past 2 years for me. I've definitely been practicing a little bit differently over the past couple of months, which I know I've mentioned before too, but hopefully that helps me in the long run.
Big shot there for Daphne. One more, and that will put her in the 190s, and again, make sure you think about it just a bit. When you say practice differently, what have you added, subtracted, etc. to your practice regimen?
I don't know that I've subtracted anything. Obviously, my practice schedule has to be a little bit modified with my work schedule.
Sure.
But I video myself a lot more now. I can feel when something is wrong or off, but I can't necessarily pinpoint it or fix it without seeing it. I'm a very visual person / feel person. I need to see myself in order to fix it. So that's kind of helped me out over the past couple of months for sure.
Big shot there for Daphne Tan. All right, she'll be in the 190s. So funny, they could just have a brief moment, one another, of course, as teammates and more importantly, sisters. So soon for Sherry Tan to do some work here. We've seen Sherry be clutch in the past. In fact, last season she threw a double on TV to win the Storm Sacramento Open. Fantastic finish there for Daphne Tan. Again, great bowling for Daphne all weekend as well. Okay, so if Sherry Tan were to go 9 out, for example, that would be 191, so a mark is necessary for Sherry Tan to make a return trip. It will be her 3rd TV appearance. The 2 seasons on the PWBA Tour. The lefty. And there it is. Sherry Tan, barring staying behind the foul line and a few more pins, of course, but we've seen crazier things happen. Don't see it happening here. You can tell that it's almost time to end because the game room is open.
There's some air hockey here, I think.
The kids have been quiet long enough. All right, congrats again. I will officially put it in the books for Sherry Tan. So your top seed, Kelly Kulick. Your number 2 seed is Verity Crawley. Your 3 and 4 seeds are based on average. Don't have all of the match play final in front of me. There it is. Liz Johnson 211, Sherry Tan. So Sherry Tan, I believe, would be the 4th seed. Liz Johnson would be the 3rd seed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
congratulations to all. We'll have the announcement for you here. I want to thank Erin McCarthy for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know I interrupted her barbecue time. We certainly appreciate that. Folks, I'm going to go take some pictures, and we'll have all the details for you, of course, on PWBA.com, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Our number 4
Hang
seed
tight.
from
You can
Singapore,
watch the presentation here.
Our opponent in the opening match, number 3
So for
seed
Matt
from
Cannizzaro,
Chicago, Illinois, reigning player of
to
the
Neil
year,
Milligan,
Liz Johnson.
Kathy Walker, Kathy Kavicki, all of the staff here at Fountain Bowl, Gary
The
Foreman, the
winner of that
proprietor,
match
Rusty,
will
the
go
general
on to
manager,
face our number 2
everyone at the counter,
qualifier, rookie
Rita
this
Moore,
season, all
and
the
everyone
way
else
from
I may have
England,
forgotten.
Verity
My name is
Crowley.
Emil Williams Jr. We will, or maybe we won't.
Then the winner
We
of
will
that
chat
match
with you
will
soon.
then
Next
face
week,
our
the
tournament
USBC
leader from
Queens
Union,
is on tap.
New
We will see Aaron
Jersey.
McCarthy there, hopefully.
Immaculate.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right, so for Aaron, we appreciate everyone watching this week. We will talk to you next week on USBC Queens. Again, check for all the details, PWBA.com. We'll talk to you soon, folks. Have a great night. It's been a presentation of the Fountain Valley Open live on Extra
Frame.
Frame.
PWBA staff, thank you all very much for coming out today and for all your support of the PWBA.